What is up, everybody? Welcome to Friday. Welcome to the Ham Radio Crash Course. Thanks for joining us here. We got a fun show. This is the Patron Picks episode, which we're going to be talking about HOA antennas and what to do if you live in an HOA. I got a comment earlier today or the day before asking me to put my radio memes somewhere that people can go check out. And the best way to find the spiciest ham radio memes is to head on over to the Discord. Link is in the description, and that is where we do our Discord after chats, where you can see those spicy memes, because we have a radio memes chat room, which is just for not just only memes that we have put out in rotation and deployment, but memes that are in work, and you can actively work to create those radio memes if you'd like by jumping on over there. So anyway, how's it going, everybody? What is up? I hope you had a good Friday. Something's going on with that chat room. I don't know what the deal is there. I'm trying to work out all this stuff, and it's there it goes. Your mom is on Discord. That's the first one that pops up. Thanks a lot, Mike. Anyway, I am drinking a little beer here. It's American Stout, they said. It's a hopsy thing, so I'm going easy. This is just a pretty light thing. Very good, very good. The chat is blowing up. I'm trying out some new things. Got a bit of a new logo right here. Very, very cool. Somebody helped us out on Discord with that, and that is super awesome. In fact, I'll give a quick shout out on that. Where is that? Where is my friend? I'll get him a better Echo 5. Thank you, Echo 5. Appreciate that. Yeah, I like it. It's really, really cool. I think you did a great job. So, all right, got a couple of things we need to talk about, and then we're going to dive right into the fun because we got a lot of slides to get over or get through. As always, this is kind of like a class in a certain way. We try to move forward with ham radio by bringing you new and interesting things and trying to create a environment / community that favors inclusivity to kind of help people out. So if you're new or have been an amateur radio operator for a long time and you've got some question, you're always new to something with amateur radio, right? That's the way I always look at it, and that's how I preach it. So this is a good place to get started because we try and answer all your questions, and we do that via our Facebook group, the Discord, and then, of course, the YouTube that you're watching me here on. So homework for this week is, if you can, don't move into an HOA because it makes things a little difficult for you. We're just going to talk about that up front because it's a bit of a slog to deal with an HOA. So anyway, this is the Patron Picks episode, as I mentioned. Patreon, our supporters over there can pick the first week of the month's show, and this is what they voted on, HOA antennas, because I have gotten a ton of comments over the months talking about, what antenna should I use for an HOA? What do I do? Help me out, particularly for HF. Seems to be a massive problem. So, all right, the chat is blowing up. We got a lot of people in here. Right on. Thanks, everybody, for hopping in. House built in 2018, no HOA, but got a lot too small for a tower. I am in the same boat. I hear you. So just a couple of news items. Let's see. James Hannibal at Quirky QRP is doing another Slink Tenna giveaway. So if you want to get in on the Slink Tenna giveaway before about 45 minutes from now, we're going to pick a winner on Discord. Got to join the Discord. Link is in the description to the giveaway. Click on the giveaway channel, and there at the bottom you will see the link. Click the little party horn, and that's all you have to do. It's very simple. Let's see. The Soda Overnighter. Still doing the Soda Overnighter, guys. Okay? And let's hop right over to that. Mount Pacifico, we will be there from basically November 9th through November 10th. And I am likely going to try and meet at the trailhead at 10 p.m. Oh, that's Katie Allen. I got a couple notes for her on that. But I do have a link to the map that we're going to take exactly, since Jerry helped me out, KG6HQD, so thank him for doing that. So next weekend, we will be on the Mount Pacifico Summit, hopefully working some contacts, and maybe trying to do a live stream if we can. There's a pretty good group of people going, so I'm very excited. Let's see, Sunday, Stone Mountain Ham Fest, November 2nd and 3rd, from Saturday 8 a.m. to 4 and Sunday 8 a.m. to 2. I will be doing a talk at this Ham Fest via Skype. So if you're going, or I don't know how else you'd watch it, that will be available. So check that out. Stone Mountain Ham Fest. All right. And then finally, when I hit the 70,000 subscriber mark, which is what's going to fire off the giveaway for the Shegu G90 HF radio, once that happens, I'll do a live stream. We're going to have a lot of fun, a lot of giveaways. I've got a bunch of shirts, like I mentioned, from ICOM, the QRP crew shirts, and part of their 705 launch that's going to be coming out here in a little while. So we'll be giving away some shirts. We'll be giving away some Brie antennas. And then we will also be giving away that G90. So I'm super excited about that. And I hope you're interested. So if you could, maybe share the, if you're new to amateur radio, share that playlist I've got for people that might be new to ham radio. And maybe it'll help get them started. Why isn't this guy just always displaying? Just always show up. I don't know what the deal is. Anyway, let's move on. We'll go to the slides. All right, so today we're going to be talking about HOA antennas. Let's shrink this guy down a little bit so we're not crushing it on the chat. Oop. All right, good enough. Okay, so HOAs and HOA antennas are kind of a pain in the butt. Again, I'm playing around with the slides here, and I should not be doing that. Come on. There we go. Geez, you'd think I'd spend hours getting ready for this, and I do. But there's always little things that screw it up. So HOA antennas. How a ham deals with little tyrants. So what's this all about? Well, basically, an HOA is an organized group of residents that live in a community. In my area, it's generally a gated community, right? They have a literal gate that goes around it. Everybody lives in that area, is subject to the rules, laws, basically, that this board of directors creates. And the board of directors is generally ran by the community. So it's an inclusive group that has a pretty large amount of control over what you do with your property, right? So if you buy a home in an HOA, you're automatically a member and you get to pay dues. That's how it works. So if what happens for a lot of people is you want to be in a certain school district or you want to be closer to a certain area, and so you move to be on an HOA or move to a area that has an HOA. That's the best option, or maybe it's the cheapest house. There's all kinds of reasons why you may have to join an HOA. Oh, Logic, thank you very much for that. Whoa, the chat room just exploded. I don't know why it just took off like that. Man, this software's buggy. Logic, thank you very much for the support. If I win the G90, I'll be the happiest ham in Indiana. Love your streams. DEKD9. KD9 NVF. Thank you very much, buddy. I appreciate it. HOAs generally don't allow amateur radio antennas. Generally. That was funny how it just took off. So just to give you some numbers, in 2019, 70 million people are living in residents that are in an HOA. So mom, dad, kids, you get the whole thing. 70 million. It's a pretty large number. So what do you do if you're dealing or find yourself in this HOA nightmare? You gotta research the restrictions, your bylaws that are in your HOA. That's the best thing you can do, and if I could make a recommendation, do that before you sign on the dotted line. Make sure you understand that, because even if you move in and you like the laws, there's no reason they can't change them. So just think, you move into a house, you set up an antenna, you think you're golden, and somebody doesn't like it, and so they push to get a law to get you to take your antennas down. That technically can happen. So I'm not going to try and slam HOAs more than I already have. I'm sure there's enough people talking about it in the chats. We're not necessarily here to complain about HOAs. We're here to talk about what you do when you find yourself behind those enemy lines. So if you do have an ability, like if they do allow antennas, first thing you should do is just request to have an antenna, right? Request to place one, understand what the rules are, what their rules are for putting an antenna up. Do they require you to do an RFI test? And they generally care about RFI, right? That's one of the big things. It's just not the antenna. It's also the eyesore or the effect of the RFI. Daniel Shiflet, thanks for all the great information and time invested. KN4ZJQ. Thank you very much. ZJQ, buddy. That is a CW mouthful of a of a call. Oh, that's a tough one. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Let's see. All right. So so you generally have to know what the effect will be when you transmit. And the sad thing is if somebody just makes a claim that your antenna is affecting their television or affecting their Wi-Fi or whatever, you might find yourself in HOA trouble. So the bad news is that if you're an HOA and they generally outlaw antennas, you're going to have a hard time. And generally, this is a generalization, of course, because, again, these are small little communities of residents that live in and around all over the place. So they treat them all differently. But there are ways, there are things you can do, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So first things first, and this is kind of the last heady stuff before we get into the fun. What do you do? What kind of antenna should you put up? Do you have any legal recourse? So there's two things. First, the over-the-air reception devices, or OTARD rule. This goes back to the 90s, actually before that, where you are allowed basically a receiving antenna, and it's size-wise, the scope, the dimensions of the antenna, you can't go much bigger than a VHF, UHF antenna with that. A lot of this has been modified a little bit to support satellite cable satellites, so not cable, satellite television receivers. So that's included in the dimension size. TV antennas are generally included in the dimension size. So if you're only interested in doing VHF, UHF, you can sometimes make that work. And we're actually going to talk about a really ingenious antenna that I stumbled upon that would allow you to basically have the satellite dish function as an antenna, a commercial TV satellite, which is super cool. So stay tuned for that. And then, of course, there was the, I wouldn't call it failed yet, but the kind of stuck in limbo Amateur Radio Parity Act. It is currently sitting on the Senate floor in the United States, and it would have prevented HOAs from restricting homeowners from installing an antenna. However, when it got to a committee in the House, I believe, the committee accepted some compromise that basically said at the end of the day, you have to request from the HOA, even if it was a ham radio antenna. So not great. Not great. That's kind of where we're stuck at. So compromise is, even if that passes, which it's not moved since 2016, it's likely not going to get worked on unless the ARRL starts pushing it. Hey, ARRL, hint, hint. Then people in the HOAs are still going to have to capitulate to the board of directors or the board of whatever and deal with that. So what do you do? So if you're in an HOA, you're likely SOL. So what should you do? So basically, if you can, go with I'll try to put up an antenna the way you're supposed to do. The worst thing they could say is no. Reality, though, is they might say, I got to watch out for this guy. You're on the naughty list, or they're going to keep an eye on you, and they might spend their time going around your property looking for violations. So some people may not even want to ask the HOA if they can put up an antenna. They might want to seek other options. Maybe. And we're going to talk about that. And that option is, of course, put up an antenna that they don't really know is an antenna. And there's a couple of ways of doing that. Either camouflage it, so you can't really tell there's an antenna there at all. Make it look like something else completely, or is something else, or completely hide it from view. So here's the reality, though. Now we're going to talk about the antennas. Thank you for bearing with me as I did my due diligence in explaining the situation. So the reality is that most of the antennas you're going to see are going to be compromises for some reason or another. We talk about it all the time. Hang them high, get them freestanding, get them up in the air, get them away from walls and metal and all this stuff. We're going to be talking about basically doing the opposite of that. Co-locating them with fences, co-locating them in other places that people won't see them. So there's a compromise associated with this. But for some of you, it may be the only way you can get out. Maybe the only way you can get on the radio. And so for that, hey, try it out. Ham radio is all about experimentation, all about having fun. The project, I always say, working on the project alone is really what I get a lot of enjoyment out of. When I'm building something, In amateur radio, that's where I have the most fun. So consider portable antennas. That's the first thing I'd say. This is the kind of the easiest path to go. Portable antennas basically are assembled the time you want to operate in your backyard, for example, left there all day as you play radio or into the night if you want to work the late bands or the night bands. Generally, they can't really give you a hard time over that because you're not keeping it overnight. You're actively using it. You could say, hey, I'm practicing MCOMs. I'm a member of CERT. I'm a member of Aries. Be all these things. Do practice in these things. But there's all kinds of reasons why you would have an antenna out. And since it's just a freestanding antenna, not attached to the house, and you are putting it away, you generally don't have a big problem with that. Be mindful, though. Staying under the radar is one of your goals here. You want it to be something where people may see it and then it kind of disappears and then they don't really worry about it, but you don't want them to get slammed with a bunch of RFI, so keep that in mind. A lot of these portable antennas are going to be closer to the ground, so you may be dealing with a bit of RFI, depending on how much power you put out. So QRP is always a good option, very little RFI. 100 watts is probably fine too. A couple of just honorable mentions here. Buddy Pole makes a great kit, their deluxe kit, which will do buddy pole, buddy sticks. You can do vertical, you can do dipole, all kinds of configurations. You pay for those options, though. Buddy Pole is a little pricey. You've got the MFJ Big Ears, which I did a review on. I used my MFJ Big Ears for Field Day in 2018. I've used it many, many times. And, of course, the Wolf River vertical type of antennas, and they have a ton of antennas. So I'm a big fan of the Wolf Rivers. They're really, really good. QRP, maybe not the best. I've not had the best luck with the Wolf Rivers on QRP, but it's still a good antenna in general. So the other options, we're going to have a lot of options here, but another additional option is, hey, Tom, Hip and Steel, thank you very much for the support. I appreciate it. Risking it with the vertical, right? Vertical antennas, a lot of times you can't see them, right? And if they're on the lower bands, like 10, 12, 15, 17, 20, they're not that high. So you're not really going to have a problem with a vertical. If you're lucky, put it in the backyard. Maybe you've got some trees around to kind of like obfuscate it. 20 is when verticals start to get a little tall. And then if you start going higher than that, 40 through 160, you're going to be really tall. And that's going to show up big time. But maybe nobody really cares. So this is a risky option, obviously, because it is just an antenna. You are assembling just an antenna. It's going to look like an antenna. People are going to see it, and they're going to say, I think that is an antenna, and they're going to report you. So keep that in mind. The advantages of a vertical, of course, is just like any other radio or radio antenna, you're going to get a bit of a lower takeoff. You might be able to do DX a little bit better. The negative side is if you're in an HOA, you're kind of in suburb hell like I am. You could have a lot of RFI, and vertically polarized antennas like these verticals will have a little bit more noise on the bands, on the frequencies that you're probably operating. So again, there's a trade-off, there's a compromise in all this stuff. Antennas to take a look at. The DX Commander is pictured right there. I don't have one, but so many people on the Ham Radio Crash Course have this antenna, and they absolutely love it. If you hop on the Discord chat after, I can pretty much guarantee there'll be somebody on there that has a DX Commander, and they absolutely love it. So DX Commander, sold by Callum, the DX Commander, here on YouTube. So check him out if you're not watching his videos. You pay a bit of an import tax, I'll say that up front, to get yourself a DX Commander, but they're pretty cool antennas. Gregory B., thank you so much. I appreciate the super chat. That is awesome. Let's see. Yeah, so the cool thing about the DX Commander, too, is it's pretty much all bands, or you can get all bands. There is a line that comes off on some of the lower bands. Just keep that in mind. You may only want to go, 10 through 20, just to avoid that, to make it look a little streamlined. Now, so you got the Wolf River to go along with that. That's a manual tune antenna. You've got to go in there and click the ring up and down, in fact. I do have one. Hold on. So that's the only downside of the antenna. They're very inexpensive, though. That's a great thing about this antenna. So is the DX Commander now I think about it. You have to kind of go in and manually tune this thing by loosening up the collar, sliding down, and then kind of fine-tuning it by rotating it. And that's how you get the different bands out of this for the vertical whip you have on the end. But you can set that up semi-permanent. You can set that up portable. It can live outside. Nice antenna, very well priced. And then last option is kind of a cool one. There's a lot of companies that sell these mobile automatic screwdriver antennas. They're already kind of weather resistant because they're meant for your car. So you can just put that in your backyard. You can set that up with some radials or set some kind of ground plane system setup, and you can use that. That's a cool way to go. Scorpion, for example. Again, I don't have a Scorpion. I have an ATOS 120 on my car. But Scorpion makes a kind of a tripod with some firm radials, horizontal firm radials that basically acts as a ground plane for the antenna. Scorpions are expensive, though, so keep that in mind. And then, of course, the humble dipole. If you're in an HOA, dipoles are so inexpensive. The picture here is my speaker wire dipole. People do 100 watts in the speaker wire dipole. There's no reason you shouldn't try it, even if you're going to do one of those portable painter's pole, right? You're just going to, lash a painter's pole to the deck in the backyard and set up a dipole and play radio for the day. Start with the speaker wire dipole, build that up, and have some fun, and that'll get you started. Very easy to use. Wire dipoles, very easy to hide. You can run them along the sides of a wall, a fence, under the eaves, in a gutter, the ridge line of the back side of the house. I saw somebody use the backside of a chimney as a fixed point for the center connector or the balun, and then just kind of like had the legs in an inverted V configuration. People might look at it sideways, but they might not know what it's for. Maybe you could put some Christmas decorations on there. Probably won't bother many people. Very easy to hide. You can also work NVIS with these, right? So if you've got it low, if it's on a fence line or whatever, it generally will kind of have a funky pattern, but it'll work NVIS. And of course, worst case scenario, you can put it in your attic. You can string it if you got a big enough attic. I don't really have a big enough attic. You can string it across the rafters of the attic and use it that way. There's a lot of people who do attic type setups. Problem with attics is a lot of them nowadays, particularly when you do a new roof job or whatever, they have these radiant barrier insulating sheets that have foil on one side, and that silences all RF. So keep that in mind. If you have, hey, Salty Shellback is in the house. I'm going to see him on Monday or Tuesday. I'm super excited about that. So yeah, keep that in mind with modern roofs. So loops, a lot of loop antennas are used in HOA environments, people that live on balconies, all that fun stuff, because a loop, you can put some resonant material, don't use metal, but you can put, fake ivy around it, whatever. They're extremely easy to camouflage. Very, very easy. Downside, just like with all loops, you've got that tuning because it's a high Q antenna, which means that the bandwidth, the effective space is very narrow. So you'd have to tune it every time you jump around. So yeah, keep that in mind. That's a very inexpensive, in some cases, way to go, and simple because you just kind of move that out, use it, you can put it back, or you can leave it. Nobody really knows. Generally, nobody really cares because it's going to look like a planter. Richard Smith, thank you, buddy. I appreciate the super chat. Thank you. Now, the kind of flip side of that is a full wave loop, which we talked about on my antenna terms video that I did a couple of weeks ago or over a month ago. With the full wave loop, that's literally full wave of length of cable, so 40 meters of wire for 40 meters, that type of thing. You can, if your house is got the space for it, you can have the wire snake all the way around the eaves of your home or the eaves of your space, and do it in such a way that it won't look like it's an antenna. I've seen that before. So that's a good way to go. The carries, thank you. Slides and chats out of focus. Refresh. Somebody says it's out of focus. You should probably refresh, because this is a camera and the slides are on a computer. They're not on a camera. So I think it's your buffering. That's probably what it is. Oh, is there a CW QRP contest going on? K6ARK says low-key CW QRP contest. Okay, so those are some antennas you might use. There are ways to hide them, and there are other ways that we're going to talk of. All kinds of fun stuff. So hiding it. This is a sling antenna. This is actually James's picture that he has on his Etsy site, and that's generally where he runs that from, or in an attic. Hiding it, it's the best policy a lot of times. If you have the ability to make it so no one can see your antenna, put it in an attic, put it on a fence, put it, somewhere that nobody can complain about. Then nobody will know you're a ham unless you tell them. Nobody will know you're playing radio unless you tell them, where you're putting out like a lot of power and it's low to the ground and they're getting some RFI. That could happen, but some things that are good, we have digital TV now for over-the-air mostly, and a lot of people aren't really affected by our analog RF. Generally, there are exceptions depending on how much power you put out, but those are good things to keep in mind. Fences are convenient. The problem is they're too low to the ground unless you want to work invis, so you're not going to get out as far, as I've already mentioned. Trees are great. Here's my recommendation for trees. So wire antennas, great way to go. But if you can, try to keep them tidy, keep the wires up against the tree. Don't just have something hanging, because then it's just going to look more out of place. It just takes the right time or the wrong time for someone to look over and say, like, what is that thing? Is that a wire? Why do they have a wire in a tree? Trees don't grow wires. And then all of a sudden you've got nosy neighbors asking you questions, and you don't want to do that. So keep them tidy, keep them clean. So attics. KE8KOY submitted this picture to me when I asked for some sneaky HOA setups. I think he said he wasn't in an HOA, but he likes having his antennas in an attic because he can go up there and work on them. I myself am already jealous of his attic. Look how much space he has. That is a pretty large attic. So he's got a couple of antennas in there. He has what looks like a J-pole, a dipole, I think he said, and then he also, actually it's an inverted V dipole over the A-frame of the attic. Smart use of space. And then he's got a discone antenna. That is a cool little antenna farm right there. So he's got his VHF, UHF. He's got his discone antenna for receiving. It transmits too, but it's really good at receiving. And then you've got that really cool A-frame dipole setup. So I like that. So you've got an in-plane sight option here. This is the Grayline Performance flagpole antenna. This is a 28-foot vertical antenna that I believe needs radials, and it usually, I think, generally needs a tuner. I'll post the links. What I'll do for the slides, since there are a lot of slides, I'll take the slides and I'll put them over on Patreon. I'll make a public post and you guys can grab them over there, and then I'll put that link in the video description so you can grab them. But if you're already following me on Patreon, you don't have to pay for anything on Patreon to get some of my posts. Some of them are public, but that's an easy way for me to distribute them quickly. So with the flagpole, you get a quarter wave vertical antenna on 80 through 10 meters. They have different options, shorter options. This is the 28-foot vertical flagpole, 80 through 10. Pretty good. Likely gonna, actually, I don't know if you need a tuner on that one. I'll just be quiet because I don't actually have that one. But I'm mentioning it because it's really cool and it's hidden in plain sight kind of thing. No one's gonna really know that you have it, which is pretty sweet. Then we have the vent antenna. The vent antenna literally is a VHF, UHF antenna that sticks in the drain vent that a lot of homes have, I believe required by law to have, that allow the water to drain through your drains without getting backed up. And then, of course, disguise the mag loop. Like I said, just wrap some ivy, plastic flowers. Plastic is preferable, not wires. Wrap that around the mag loop, and then you have an easy setup for running a disguised antenna. So these are all in plain sight. You can look at them. You'll think nothing of it. No one will know any better. Vertical's nice because it's a full size, basically full size. Actually, no, it's not full size for 80, but full size on a lot of bands. Vertical antenna, you're going to get some pretty good performance out of it. Okay, this is awesome. The link again will be on the slides, and I will post those. So this post by W6NBC, he modified a DirecTV dish by carving that line you see in it, right? It's that square, like a rectangle with only 3 sides. Carved that piece of metal out. It looks like a 1/4-inch gap. Jason Foulheffer, taking my exam in 2 weeks. Prior Navy cryptologist. Cool. I think you might be the first Navy cryptologist we've had on a stream. Thank you for watching. So you load that up from the back. One side of the coax goes to call it the bottom of the rectangle, and the other side goes to the top side of the dish between the gap, and that's your VHF UHF antenna. Very cool, very smart, very, very useful in, obviously, because you're allowed to have that antenna. They can't tell you can't use it. Great job disguising it. I love that. I saw that and I was just like, man, that's ingenious. You can pick one of those up for like a smile a lot of times, or they're just throwing them out. I was super into that one. I may try that just to see how it performs. Josh De La Schmidt, I think it is. Thanks for the videos. They really helped me pass my exam last Saturday. Still waiting for my call sign, though. Still waiting for my call sign. I apologize for that. Thank you. I realize... Oh, no, it says it. I realize the chat's kind of weird. I don't know if I'm going to stick with this chat. Tell me what you guys think in the comments on this chat. I don't know if it's the best, but... I think it's better for Twitch. I don't think it looks as good on YouTube. We may go back to the other format. De La Schmidt. Thank you. All right. So what if you have... Well, everybody's got stuff, right, around their house. You can turn your stuff into antennas, right? Makes sense? Sounds kind of weird how I'm backing myself into this slide. But so you've seen just antennas that we put up. We try to put them in places that are hidden. We've seen antennas that are other objects that look like flagpoles or, vent tubes or satellite dishes. Well, what if you just have things around your house and you're like, hey, why don't we turn that into an antenna? So you've got gutters. W8, WOT, wait, what? He has gutters that he turned into an antenna. We've got a really cool slide with some great pictures he provided a little bit later, but that's his antenna, at least one of them, that he uses on HF. So basically you're going to use one wire to connect to the downspout, and then that runs up along the gutter. You got to sand the metal down so you got a bare metal connection. Pop your little loop connector onto the downspout. You will need radials for this, so put a couple of radials out, and you probably will need a tuner. Now, I've got good news on this one. A little bit later on tuners, I'm gonna let Wait Watt explain it a little bit better, because it's pretty cool what he's got worked out. Now, of course, again, gutters are a compromise. You're not gonna have really great propagation. You're gonna have a weird field effect. Your lobes are going to be funky on it. It's going to be odd. Will it work? Yes. Will it effectively nullify the HOA from your standpoint? Yes. And that's kind of the goal here. So keep that in mind. So this is a WB7CIA. That is his fence that he had in a house. By the way, WB7CIA is Billy Bob, who's been on some of my videos, works at the HRO. And he had this fence line. He cut, basically, just took a saw, reciprocating saw, hacked a bunch of the horizontal pieces, just hacked the metal out of it, and then connected each side of the coax, or used a ball and a feed line at this point, connector, on each side of the fence, tuned it up with a tuner. That's it. So basically, he's separated 2 sides of the fence, connected them together with feed line, and then used a tuner to trick the radio into believing that it was a resonant circuit. He will get some power out. He said he did work contacts with it. He said it worked. Not effective, not efficient, but it worked. And so, hey, that's good enough a lot of times for people that have no other option, because HOAs don't give you a lot of options. So malicious compliance. This is my attempt at you're following the letter of the law, but still kind of screwing it, giving it back to him a bit. So we've joked about this antenna before, and joke's a strong term. It's still an antenna. I think it's great that somebody built this thing, but it's obviously a pink flamingo. So the pink flamingo is made by nextgenerationantennas.com. I've never used this thing. I've never really seen a lot of pictures of it or reviews of it. It's really hard to necessarily get any stories on this. I just love the concept of it so much, I thought I would mention it. So basically, malicious compliance, if you can have like a piece of art in the front of your house, well, why not it be this big pink flamingo or this really massive sunflower? And by big, these things are big. I believe they're all over 7 feet, these antennas. So big pink flamingo, 7 feet. I probably can't get that in an HOA, but I love the concept. So this one, Ethan reminded me, Ethan, one of our admins, KE7DUX. So technically, you could put a vertical antenna on your car, leave your car in the front yard. The HOA has no jurisdiction over your car. So why not put your ham radio antenna on your car, feed the coax through the inside of the cabin into your shack, and then use that. No reason you can't, technically. And that is malicious compliance if I've ever heard of it. So I love that one. I like that one a lot. Not to mention, you could just get like your antenna car that never moves. Just some piece of crap. That'll piss the HOA off too. If you just leave the antenna car, put your tower on the antenna car. Just have this massive thing erected and just watch the HOA just lose their mind. Yeah, I'm saying don't even drive it. Just have your antenna car. Just some, 70s boat land yacht that you build your thing on. I like it. I love that. That was a great one. Okay, so then we've got some audacious attempts here. Somebody, this was a story that was told to me back when I started the HRCC streams. I was asking, hey, what kind of antenna do you use? He's like, hey, I'm using an end-fed half-wave. I'm like, that's great. That's a good antenna to get started on. He's like, yeah, but I live in an HOA. I'm like, ooh, is it all band end-fed and half-wave end-fed? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, so, what'd you do? Because that's like over 100 feet of wire. He's like, I got up really late at night, and I ran it across the street. I got it as high up into the first tree by my house as possible. And then I got the throw line over the next tree across the house, or across the street. Got that as high as I could. And I just strung the wire. Across the street. And I just ran like that. And I'm like, how long did you do that for? And he was like, about a year before people caught on. I'm guessing he probably had it high enough up that people were just like, what's this? People are so focused on their day-to-day, just, looking forward, going down the road, that they were just like, whatever. So I love that. Someone eventually got wise, though, and the antenna was requested to be removed. So, yeah. So we got a couple of HRC submissions, then we'll wrap it up. We'll go to call-ins if anybody wants to call in to talk about HOA antennas, what they're using, or any problems they're dealing with. We would love to hear them. So this is the W3EDP antenna. This is the maker is actually W3EDP, but M0OFE in the UK, member of the HRCC, has this. It's basically an end-fed with a ladder line connected. And he has that running along his gutter, which you can see on the right side picture. So not bad. You can easily say like, hey, I just use that to mount my my Christmas lights. No big deal. That's an easy setup. And he says he's can work most of Europe on his X5105 QRP 5 watts from the UK. So pretty good. That's a pretty low wire antenna. So still killing it out there. So good job. I think that's great. I like this one. The KDGE off-center fed antenna. This came from Twitter, so nice setup by Matt, by the way. He has a flagpole like we saw earlier, but he has the automatic antenna tuner, the remote one, the all-weather one, right at the feed point for that antenna. Awesome. That is a great setup. And he's in the chat. K9GE, great work. I love seeing when the front picture when you see it with the stone and then you see behind it and you see the antenna tuner. I'm like, that's very smart. Nicely done. So, post in the comments. I'm curious how far out you've got. I didn't look up your call, but I'm guessing you're somewhere around the southwest or around that area. But anyway, let me know how far you've gotten out with it. I'm curious to see. All right, so here's the breakdown on the W8 WOT gutters. So the feed point, again, is the downspout. That wire comes up and into a window, and that gutter, the downspout gutter, connects up to the top and then tees off and goes across the roof, the top of the roof ridge. So he's got that connected to an LDGZ100 tuner to his FT400, but he says, oh, the tuner is in the stone, K9GE says. Ah, that is even better. So you can't even see that. That's smart. That's really good. Yeah, K9GE, great work. I love it. So we've got with the W8 the weight watt. I gotta say weight what? He's saying that his internal tuner completely will handle the gutters. He doesn't need the external tuner. And this is generally what he gets for an SWR. So the 3 here is important. 3 is when things start getting a little wonky. So most of the bands, he's got well below... Get that out of there. Come on. There we go. He's got well below 3 to 1, which is generally fine. He's a little high on 14 and 17. 15's not bad. Seems to do better on the higher bands, it looks like. So, pretty good. Yeah, right on. Okay. And then we got KN6 DLG ground plane. So this is just a simple setup. I wanted to point this out, though, because of, what Woody was telling me. He just puts this in the backyard. He puts it in an area where nobody can really see it. It's not really in the way. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't broadcast that he has an antenna. He doesn't do anything like that. He's just like, hey, just set this up. I don't say anything. I think he said he's actually got it in a bucket with pea gravel. So that's how he holds it up. So perfect. Do that. At least try, right? I think he said it's an 11-foot mast, and then it's a simple, that looks like a 4-foot ground plane, something like that, antenna. So there you go, VHF, UHF. Now, I know that HF is harder, right? And that's why I spent most of the time talking about HF. But there's ways to work this whole thing out. You get it's a compromise. But keep in mind, a lot of people are dealing with compromises, for whatever reason with amateur radio. So try it out. Dipoles are really easy to set up. You can do them in a way that, they run along the eave of your house, in your gutter, wherever. And, nobody's really going to be the wiser. So I would try it. And if you're, really adventurous, try tuning up that gutter. I think that's a great idea. I like it. I like the concept of it. My wife keeps bugging me. We had a roof job done on our house, and she keeps bugging me to put the gutters up. And I'm like, honey, I'll do it, but, I'm going to have to turn them into an antenna. So, you sure you want me to? Anyway, thank you for that and watching me go through those slides. I hope that was interesting. If you have questions, I'm going to go ahead and be monitoring the chat, but I'm turning on the call-ins right now. So, we'll switch over here. And we'll go to, that chat. Still not, why you not work, chat? What's the deal? Let's illuminate the call-ins. There we go. They'll catch up in a second. Let's see, flip over to the call-ins. All right, let's see what questions we got. K8 MRD radio stuff is getting an a Bree antenna on Thursday. I like it. Okay. Hey, we got Evan. What's up, Evan? Can you hear me? Evan? Oh, wait, hold on.
Hello, yeah?
Yeah, all right, you're on. What's up?
Hi, what's good, Josh?
How you doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
All right. Do you deal with the trials and tribulations of an HOA?
No, I don't, but my friends do.
Mm-hmm. How did they conquer
Yeah.
the HOA?
Oh man, many different ways. Mostly through attic space.
Attic
They have like
space.
a Comet GP3
Okay.
up there, and they put a wire in the backyard with a pole
Mm-hmm.
that they put the U.S. flag on top of. So
Ah,
that
okay.
worked.
There you go.
And yeah, nobody can really see their backyard because they're like on the outskirts of the HOA. So
Mm-hmm.
like the houses behind them aren't part of the HOA.
Ah, okay.
So the
Yeah.
houses behind them have no say in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I've definitely seen another thing. Also, something you didn't bring up, which I wanted to say. I work with repeater systems for anybody who doesn't know me. My name is Evan, KJ7Berry, and we at one of our sites, Timberline, have the patch panel antennas installed into the walls of the lift house for the ski lift.
Okay. Patch panel like Ethernet cable patch panel?
No, like panel antennas.
Like just vertical panel antennas. How
Yes,
tall are they?
essentially.
Okay.
I don't know, but they're in the actual drywall of the building.
Really? So I mean that
Yeah.
seems like it might work for local comms, but if you're trying to work a little bit further out, I don't know how well that would work. Have you tried it?
Yeah. Well, the repeater up there has good coverage, and yeah, it is only for like VHF and UHF, so your 2 meters and your 70 centimeters.
Mm-hmm.
But it that's kind of all the coverage you're gonna get is kind of from a vertical of that sort,
Mm-hmm.
and it is directional, I believe. So.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So, real quick, for people that are still interested to get in on the Slink Tenna giveaway, you have 6 minutes and 20 seconds to do so because it ends at 7:50 my time. So join Discord, link down in the description. Go to the hashtag giveaway channel or chat room and click on the little party horn. There's about 124 people that are in right now. So you got to go click it. Just click it once and you're in. So there you go. Thank you for doing that.
Clicked it.
Clicked it. Hashtag clicked it. All right, Evan. I got like 2 more people that just called in. Do you have anything else you wanted to mention?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in, being the first caller of the night. Appreciate it.
Totally.
All right. I'll talk to you later. Hopefully at the after chat. I'll see ya.
All right. See ya.
All right. Thanks, Evan, for calling in. All right. I've got John. What's going on, John?
Hey, man. Not much is going on right now. So, my thought for an HOA stealth antenna was kind of like, similar to the modified satellite dish.
Mm-hmm.
And it's essentially you kind of build a Yagi that looks kind of like a TV antenna.
Mm-hmm. What, like, Yagis are tough, right? Because you got to space them appropriately based off of whether they're the reflector or the director and where the loaded driven elements are. That spacing is it's particular. There's maths involved. So I don't know. That one seems tough to me, but what would it look like in your mind? Like, how would that work?
Well, I don't really know yet. I was thinking like mainly for like VHF because
Mm-hmm.
you can't really have an HF Yagi without it being stupid, like like a stupid length for the wires.
Right. Interesting.
So like maybe like you could reduce the amount of elements that are used.
Maybe.
So that
Yeah.
you don't have to like do as much math.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's why I would say just use that DirecTV satellite dish like I mentioned earlier. and go to that go that way with doing 2 meter.
Well, I mean, hey, I tried.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like you could just reuse though a DirecTV satellite dish, and you'd be good to go that way.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
Okay, I got some more callers. I'm gonna let you go, John. I'll talk to you later. Catch you up on the after chat, and we can talk more about it.
all right, see ya.
See ya. All right. First time caller. What's your name?
Andy.
Andy. How you doing, Andy?
Yeah, pretty good, Josh. Andy Schneider, KD9 MKW.
KD9MKW. All right, got you in my free online conference call logbook. How's it going?
Yep. Pretty good. We talked one night briefly on 40 meters on your live stream here.
Mm-hmm.
But there was I've been looking myself, even though I don't have the issues, I've been looking at the ICOM AH4 as a excellent way to do a stealth antenna. The box itself doesn't look much different than, say, a cable house box that for cable television sitting on the side of the house. Somebody could easily tie that into their their house mains for good ground,
Mm-hmm.
and then just run a black number 12 wire out. ICOM advertises it at least 23 feet in length, and it'll tune 6 through 80.
You'll need radials though with it, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But it's it's radial. It's a radial system, but it's not radials in the sense of like a whatchamacallit, a dedicated vertical, where they got to be in all directions, varying lengths or whatever.
Well, it would help. It would probably help.
Yes. Oh no, it definitely would.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things where with I'm looking here to upgrade from the 7300 to the 7610, and I wanted a third antenna.
Mm-hmm.
I've got two now, and I was like, yeah, how about that?
Mm-hmm.
Now it's a little pricey, but hey, for a stealth setup, that's pretty slick.
Yeah, I mean, the one of the last antennas we showed was that flagpole. It's basically an off-center fed dipole, and it's got that tuner right at the base. And so you're basically saying a similar thing, but you don't even need the off-center fed dipole. Just go straight up with the wire, and then do some kind of counterpoise.
Exactly. You wouldn't need, because I was doing a lot of research on ICOM's website and looking at reading a lot of reviews on how guys have set them up. They set them up both mobile and in the house, and there's not a lot of videos on them, but in doing a lot of reading on them, they are just outstanding units for getting you on HF and getting you on the air.
It's true. There's not a lot of videos out there about them. I assume because they are a little pricey, and they're not as like flashy as a lot of the other stuff that we do videos on. We want something super flashy. We're like, hey, look at this white nondescript box that I'm going to put on the side of my house. It's really important. In fact, when I was still doing the G5 RV, that was one of the things I looked at to help it out a little bit, was put the tuner as close to that feed point as possible, right to the ladder line.
Yep. Yeah, because it definitely, you're right. It's not flashy and it is pricey, but very, very effective.
Yeah.
So at least, I can't speak from personal experience as of yet. I'm still debating that one.
Yeah.
But I do want to sit there and say, like, hey, looking at a, banging way to get on HF and get on the air and have fun.
Right on.
That's definitely looking like a good way to go.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I would try it. That's got to be that's also fairly nondescript, because you're right. It just looks like a cable box, a phone box. Nobody's really going to question that. Yeah. I would try it.
So, anyway, hey, well, 73, my friend, you have yourself a good one.
All right, Andy, thank you. So really quick, we did get a winner for the giveaway. Logic44 got it. I think Logic44 sent me a super chat, so I don't know. It's all random numbers, but, are they connected? No, they're not. I'm just kidding. But, yeah, good. Congratulations on you there, Logic44. All right, we got a new caller. What's your name?
Brett.
Brett. You got a call sign?
KN6DLG.
KN6DLG. Hey, all right. What's up, Brett?
So I live down here in San Diego in the neighborhood of Rancho Bernardo with an HOA, and my backyard, it's mainly a concrete, very, very little dirt. In the dirt, there's a bunch of plants.
Mm-hmm.
I think the grandmother that we used to live here
Mm-hmm.
as a gardener and whatnot. We're currently renting though, we're under an HOA. And for me, I just passed my general the 19th of October.
Mm-hmm.
And I want an antenna that will cover 40 through 10. 6 would be nice. 80 would be nice, but I really only need 40 through 10.
Okay.
And I need something that doesn't need a lot of ground. It doesn't need a lot of place to ground the antenna, and that will be pretty stealthy. Even though both my neighbors aren't going to complain, because the neighbors at that Diamond X30 right next to haven't complained yet, but I'm just wondering, when I get the antenna up, what should I put up in your recommendation?
Do you have any trees?
I have one palm tree in the backyard. It's quite tall, and the landlord gets a landscaper every maybe 6 months to trim down the palm tree, so I can't really put up something that's very permanent up there.
Do you have a chimney on the house? Is it a condo?
It's a house. I do have a chimney, but I don't want to do anything to the structural integrity, like drilling a hole, because we're renting. So
no, yeah, you don't need to draw.
Pergola and such.
You don't really need to drill a hole. You can just have like a piece of strap, semi-firm strap that you just kind of like make a hook out of. Put that in the chimney just a little bit and hang a ballon on the back end of that, and just put that on the back side of the house and run your wires off of that. I mean, that's one option. Do you have a fence line, like a cinder block wall or a fence of some kind that's relatively non-see-through?
I do have a couple of concrete walls on either side of my yard.
Mm-hmm.
It's mainly, there's like a big slope at the back of my backyard, and maybe has it's about maybe 50 feet from left to right, and about 25 feet from the front of the backyard to the back. So I really don't have a concrete wall I can run it up against. But it's a tricky situation. The backyard's great for views, but terrible for antennas, is what I like to say.
Is there any balconies?
No, it's a single-story house.
Oh, it's a single story. You can run a dipole on the eaves of the house. That's what I would do. Then, or try that.
All right.
So you kind of have to get the ballon up behind the fascia of that eave, mount it there, and then run the wires out along the outside of the eave there, and then have the feed line, kind of snake up to the wall and then come down and like go directly into a window or something like that. And MFJ and other companies sell, pass through. I think I did a video on it at the Hamburee. I think Diamond makes one where it's actually a flat strip of coax with two connectors on each end, and you jam the window close on it. It's not that thick, and your antenna feeds into one side, and then you got a piece of coax on the inside to your radio. I would try that. Go with a dipole on the outside, strung along the eaves, feed it with the coax to a window, jam that window closed with that coax pass-through, that flat coax pass-through, and give that a shot.
All right, I'll send you some pictures of my backyard afterwards, after the stream, so you can get a more accurate look at what I'm currently dealing with, so I won't hold up the stream for much longer.
Okay, yeah, send it to me on Discord.
Have a good night, Josh. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm Woody on Discord, by the way. All right, 73, Josh.
All right, 73. Thanks for calling in. So we will figure that out on Discord. Maybe I'll have the pictures by the time I get over there. Maxie, is it Maxie that asked, what's the window thing called? I don't know. You'd have to go look at my Hamburee video from a couple of months ago. I think it was September. All right. Hey, new caller. What's your name?
Hey, Josh. It's Peter.
Hey,
KJ7IEA.
KJ7IEA. What's going on?
I installed a off-center fed antenna in the attic this week.
Okay.
And I've got about, 12 feet of extra coax. So do I need to tidy that up or shorten it up or?
I wouldn't. You don't have to. So, do you have a old Folgers coffee plastic tub? You have any of those sitting around?
Sure.
Take
Yeah.
take the
Yeah.
coax and just coil it around that. Don't go any smaller in diameter than those coffee tubs, and use some zip ties to tie them together. Just leave it all coiled up around that. Keep the coils clean. Just stacked coils, and just hit it with some zip ties, and that'll give you. And do that as close to the feed point of the antenna as you can. That's applicable. So it's called an ugly balun. It'll give you a 1-to-1 choke balun. Maybe drop some of that RFI off the antenna if you pick any up.
Okay. And I haven't tried transmitting yet because I haven't put any meters on the antenna.
Mm-hmm.
So is that something I should put an analyzer on there first before I hit the button
to tune it?
Blow up the radio. Yeah.
What radio is it?
Just to check it. ICOM 7300.
Oh no, yeah, just tune it. You can turn the power output down if you want to like 5 watts, but really that's not a factor in how it does auto tuning. Just click the tune button once for the ATU button to come on, the light, and then hold it down and it'll start clicking. And if the ATU light goes away, that means it's not tunable on that band that you're trying to tune it. If it does stay on, it'll keep clicking for a little while. It'll find its tune, and you're done. That's it.
Cool. All right, man.
Yeah, easy.
Thanks so much.
All right,
Great
no
show.
problem. Thanks for watching. Okay, we got it's Jaeger, right?
Yes, it is.
Hey, what's
Jaeger
up?
in Oregon here.
Yeah, forget your life,
I had a
right? Is
question.
your call sign or your YouTube name?
Yeah, that's it.
What's going on?
Hey, I had a question about your Chameleon Incom Base 3 that you had one video about 6 months ago on.
Mm-hmm.
That's sort of a sneaky antenna if you could do it. I wondered if you ever messed around with that thing since.
Yeah, I use it all the time. It's set up. It's kind of like my all-band receiving antenna. Almost any video you see of mine where I go to like the SDR Uno software or cut to an SDR of some kind that's at my house, it's using that antenna because it's just a good all-around end-fed antenna. It seems to do really well with the SDRs. So that's what I use pretty much all the time. It's set up right now. The only downside, I'll give you my downside on it. It is 120 feet of wire. So you need to you need to figure out how to get that up.
I actually got it up. I got it up into I'm fortunate enough to live at a place that has a tree probably 100 feet away, and so I got it up there, and then the last part of it's going down, which is unfortunate. But my question is on that antenna, every time I hook up counterpoise, my SWR is worse. So I've gotten out on everything, even 160, which is weird because it's rated for 10 through 80. But I've gotten around the state of Oregon on 160. But I stuck a 52 foot wire counterpoise on there, and I tried it on the top where it's supposed to be the ground or whatever. There's a screw on top and a screw on the bottom, and I tried each one of those. And I mean, should I just say, hey, a counterpoise isn't necessary, or am I just doing something wrong? It's kind of just dangling there going.
If it was required, they probably would have shipped one with it. So I know they recommend it. Have you tried it both ways?
They do recommend it in the manual, but they don't ship it with it. I have the portable version as well, which is 75 feet of wire, and that one does come with a counterpoise for some reason. So,
I have that same one. That's the one I used when I went to the Modern Rogue video shoot. That's the antenna I used.
Yeah. Why one comes with one and the other one doesn't, I have no idea. I wish I knew. But, it seems to be that the manual says it's necessary. It's very strange. So you're using this to receive mainly, I guess.
No, I try and transmit on it too. I'll use it for FT8 occasionally.
And you're not using the counterpoise at all?
I have about 40 feet, somewhere around there, counterpoise, somewhere around there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
think
I've tried it in a few different areas, coming down the wall here and across the yard there, but it never seems to be any better. It's kind of strange. I was
so
mainly asking you for...
You tried it
Go ahead.
without a counterpoise, and you said the SWR was lower.
Yes, it's in every scenario. It's always better without the thing.
Mm-hmm. And your let's see. How long is the wire?
52 feet. Because I was trying to maximize it for 160.
Okay.
Since I was able to get... There's actually a bunch of people around here on 160.
What does it recommend? What does it recommend in the manual?
There's a chart in there that goes from 10 to 80, and I think for 80 it's 32 feet.
Try the 32 feet.
Yeah, I guess I could, but it also mentions use the longest one necessary, or the longest one you can. I don't know. I didn't know that a counterpoise could actually. I thought it was just supposed to cool off the wire, bleed off RF, and that's about it. But evidently, it's doing something else. Any ideas?
Well,
what
I mean,
the heck's going on there?
It becomes part of the circuit when you add it to it. So if you don't get a pretty decent link, you could be affecting it in a way that will up your SWR.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
but generally, yes, it should keep common mode, or it should reduce the amount of common mode interference you get back into the radio. That's the idea, anyway.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I guess I'll keep trying, but I have not yet. I've tried about 4 different combinations, and it I don't know. Always always keeps doing it. So, and I'm just using 12 gauge, or not 12, probably 18 gauge copper wire.
That's some big wire. Yeah. I mean that.
Yeah, it's because
I would probably try and match it.
Around.
Try and match it to the radial, not the. Try and match it to the actual transmitting wire, not necessarily a different type of wire. But that's a pretty beefy wire. I don't know. It shouldn't be that big of a problem, but still, that's pretty big wire.
Yeah, it's just because that's what I had hanging around. But maybe if I try some lamp cord, I'll get a different result. I don't know. So you still have this antenna all kind of up to the roof and then down the pole and around the corner and all that?
Yep. Up the pole, down to one side of the lot, then to the other side of the lot, then back up one side. Yeah, it's all over the place. It works really well as a receiver, like I said. Not very effective as a transmitter because it's just not high enough up, and I just don't have enough space.
Yeah, it is a lot of wire. Okay. Well, hey, thanks for your time.
All right. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yep.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later.
All right, so that's going to do it for the show pretty much. If you haven't already, I'd love it if you could give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe if you haven't. I'd appreciate it. Again, we are going to hit subscribe, click the reminder because I do go live stream, when it tells you. That would help me out. So we are doing the camp out next week. We're going to try and do a live stream on the day before, so that's going to be the 8th. And then the 9th and 10th will be on the mountain. It's going to be a crazy week. So make sure you're around for that. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to try to do some soda activations throughout the day on Saturday when we get there, because we'll be there probably for a while. And then we'll try and do some live streaming from the summit, assuming we have a decent signal. And then on Sunday, we'll try and activate the summit again. There is a gang of people going so far, including some YouTubers who have already mentioned Ham Radio 2.0 is flying out, and so is Sterling Man. So that's going to be a lot of fun as well. Man, I'm already really excited. So let's wrap it up with saying thank you to my patrons that make a lot of this possible. Again, this was Patron Picks. These are the people that you have to blame if you didn't like this topic the first Friday of the month. So if you didn't like this topic, you have only them to blame. But they did a good job, I think. So thank you to Chris Ebert, Kerry Blackwell, Jason Brown, Jason Siebert, David Dansero, Danny Miller. I need to pull up my notes. There we go. Wesley Magyar, Barbara Schrock, Franklin Lewis, Brad Snyder, Dennis Dunderdale, Garrett Larson, Jonathan Franson, AD6DM Dennis, The Wyoming Ham. I saw some shenanigans going on in the chat room. Randall Hinsley, Evan Hartman. Oh, I forgot Will Ladd down there. Sorry about that. Dennis Mickelson, George Gaini, Andy, Kenny Miyamoto, Ron Thorson, Ken Hall, Corey Vuelta, Mr. Mode, David Mays, Devin B. Hedge, Mark Chase, Raymond Cracker, Geraldo Kelso, Rob K8BCR, Lee Harrell, Michael Kearney, Steve Baker, Mark Fields, Corey Sheldon, Brad Nadow, Stephen Hunt, Brian Nosowitz, Connor Carroll, Mike Marusin, Mike Heerly, Harald Carpenter, of course the Brew Crew, and one more page, Ian Webb, Sean Bales, James Barrett. It's Drageth Avith, I believe. Hopefully I said that right. I apologize. Chad Newton, Rob Zerge, John Molnar, Stephen Hunter, Justin Rao, Stephen Carduz, and Brian Fairbanks, who just joined recently. So thank you for the support. I appreciate it. Guys, that'll do it. I am going to the after chat here on the Discord. If you'd like to follow some of the shenanigans, tank the link in the description. I will be streaming to Twitch as well, and we post the link over on the Discord. All right. Thanks again so much, and I'll talk to you soon.